Come, let us explore the ultimate guide to meditation's benefits. Together, let us relaxingly recite. The Nobel laureate, Albert Einstein, is said to have quipped, "Any intelligent fool can make things bigger, more complex, and more violent." I think I'm going to play with this here. Let's see. Oops, wrong button. Let's try that again. However, it takes a touch of genius and a lot of courage to move in the opposite direction. In a vast ocean-like throng of rigid, fearful, superstitious, controlling, elitist aha, that's something to play with as well. Okay, here we go. In a vast ocean-like throng of rigid, fearful, superstitious, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel fools. Well, this turned out a little bit more complicated than I expected. Let's see what's going on here. Right, again, in a vast ocean-like throng, a rigid, fearful, superstitious, controlling, elitist, cryptic, competitive, and cruel fools. There are many who insist that enlightenment is attainable only for the special few, who live in a special place in a special time, with special companions, and who have received special teachings from a special teacher because they're so damn special, and we're not. But that is not what the Buddha taught. Real or archetypical, he taught that enlightenment was as simple as mastering the Eightfold Path, and that could be done in as little as 7 days. How egalitarian is that? The key to this is right view that empowers letting go, right points, 4 points of right love, and the effortless effort of having choices, utterances, and deeds flow from one's centered spontaneity. Let's see here. The key to right view, right love, and the effortless effort is simply mindfulness and meditation. For when practiced enthusiastically, sustainably, and effectively, mindfulness and meditation are the spiritual equivalent of a Swiss Army knife. In the golden age of proto-Buddhism, before the folly of institutionalism set in like black mold infesting a cabin in the woods. The only teachings were the Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path, which contained the essence of a morality, which is loving kindness, or metta. Remember, actively striving to focus upon or analyze loving kindness could produce nothing more than a mere analog. Pale and flaccid, worthless and weak. Sounds like a law firm, doesn't it? For the highest love, spontaneous and uncontrived, is the effortless byproduct of mindfulness and meditation. Yearning to do the loving thing is all well and fine, but how could we know what the right thing is? What the most kind manner is in which to do it, and when the most kind time is in which it must be done? Centered spontaneity. When our choices, utterances, and deeds flow from centered spontaneity. When our choices, utterances, and deeds flow from the centered spontaneity, which in turn is generated by our practice of mindfulness and meditation. Love's kindness is as natural, effortless, and potent as our next breath. For those of us who are keen to devote ourselves to an Ajahn, Roshi, Shifu, or Lama, our ultimate teacher is simply our mindfulness and meditation. For the sole purpose of the outer teacher is to acquaint us with the inner one, which could be done in but a single sitting. For those who are keen to make offerings, there is no finer object of such gifts than our teacher, who was kind enough to give us instruction and answer our questions. Although optional donations could be lovely, the greatest offering we can make to our teachers none other than the enthusiastic and sustainable practice of their instructions, whose essence is none other than mindfulness and meditation. For those of us who long for the purification of our so-called karmic negativities and their propensities, there is no finer antidote than mindfulness and meditation. For those of us who enthusiastically seek protection from the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, there is no greater safety to be had than by passively noticing whatever past, present, or potential dreads spontaneously cartwheel across the metaphoric stage of mind as we effortlessly sit in mindfulness, and then viscerally relax in harmony with meditation's next exhalation. For those of us who are eager to manifest the fulfillment of all mental, interpersonal, physical, and circumstantial needs. We have only but to vulnerably notice the various and sundry desires that can dance like sugar plums in children's dreams as we breathe in. And meditatively relax and release as we breathe out. Recent centuries have seen a rise in the popularity of training in the three marks of reality, or tilakkhana. Yet as we sit in mindfulness once every 12 hours or so, we cannot help but automatically notice, recall, or anticipate stress, or dukkha. And as we meditatively relax into our exhalations, we cannot help but viscerally experience how that which we noticed during our previous inhalation could fleetingly feel temporary or anicca, and is non-graspable, as if they simply did not define us, or anatta. Even the tyranny exerted by the five mental poisons over our choices, utterances, and deeds is easily tamed through mindfulness and meditation. First, as we meditatively relax into our exhalation, whatever dread we vulnerably noticed during our previous inhalation could feel as non-graspable as mirror-like wisdom. Secondly, as we meditatively release into our exhalation whatever desire we passively noticed during our previous inhalation could feel as empty as discerning wisdom. Third, as we meditatively relax into our exhalation whatever turmoil we vulnerably noticed during our previous inhalation could feel as non-graspable as all-pervading wisdom. Fourth, as we meditatively release into our exhalation whatever jealousy we randomly noticed during our previous inhalation could feel as void as all-accomplishing wisdom. Fifth, as we meditatively relax into our exhalation whatever pride we fleetingly noticed during our previous inhalation could feel as non-graspable as equalizing wisdom. Each complex life form on this big blue marble we call Earth has evolved to be hedonistic at heart. Yet no thing, being, or phenomena could give us as much of the bliss on tap as that which is afforded by the easy practice of mindfulness and meditation. Come, let us walk in the Buddha's footsteps, practicing mindfulness and meditation. Having completed our opening lesson, let us shift gears. It is Yoda Monday evening. Come, let us meditate like a Jedi after approximately 30 seconds of housekeeping. This is the Dzogchen Lama Jigme Gyatso of the Buddha Joy Meditation School for more than 30 years. I have harnessed my autistic special interests as well as my ADHD hyperfocus to spend about 8 hours a day, almost every day, studying, practicing, mastering, and reverse engineering the teachings and techniques of each school of meditation so that I can become your personal, nerdy, neurodivergent guide to nirvana. Welcome, my friends, to meditate like a Jedi, which is made possible due to the generosity of viewers just like you. For the remainder of this evening's live stream, let's play with the very latest iteration of very easy meditation practice text, or sadhana, if you're nasty. Sturgeon's law reminds us that 90% of everything sucks, including meditation teachers. Therefore, it should come as little surprise that the majority of meditation teachers implore their students to actively focus and actively analyze. Now, the only way to do this is to rely upon discrete neural pathways, such as those found in the medial or dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. The problem is that when we over-rely upon those tissues, we leave ourselves vulnerable to the symptoms of depression, and we begin to trigger our amygdala, the seat of the anxiety and aggression that are the opposite of the peace and love that most of us would welcome. Fortunately, neither the amygdala nor the prefrontal cortex constitute the entirety of our central nervous system. Case in point, every time we inhale, we're wired to automatically access the sympathetic nervous system ensconced within the middle third of our spinal cord. This bad boy has evolved to help us notice, which is the opposite of concentrate. Yes, it has evolved to help us to notice vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly. On the other hand, every time we exhale, we've evolved to automatically access the parasympathetic nervous system, which is divided between approximately the lower third and the upper third of that same spinal cord. This parasympathetic nervous system has evolved to support both the physical relaxation as well as mental release to such a degree that which we noticed during our previous inhalation could fleetingly feel less stressful, less permanent, and less defining. So let us sit in a comfortable and sustainable posture and cooperate with our sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous systems passively by silently and mentally reciting the demonstrative pronoun this every time we inhale, and by silently and mentally reciting the one-syllable FREEBIES during each exhalation. Now remember, the moment you have a specific question about Buddhist meditation or philosophy, do not hesitate to type your question in great detail in the chat window. And towards that ends, I check for questions approximately once every 15 minutes or so. Sometimes we have memories, sometimes we have fantasies, and when we have them both at the same time, the fancy kids call those confabulations. It's not our job to chase them, to hold on to them, or push them away. It's our job to notice them and relax, automatically, in harmony with the cycles of breathing. The only label we need ever use is simply the demonstrative pronoun this. The stability with which Kuntu Zongpo sits reminds us of centeredness. The abandon with which Kuntu Zongpo sports in tantric union reminds us of spontaneity. The more we practice mindfulness and meditation, the more our choices, utterances, and deeds will flow from the centered spontaneity of love. As we breathe in, we can silently and mentally recite the demonstrative pronoun this, that we might better cooperate with our sympathetic nervous system, which has evolved to vulnerably, passively, viscerally, randomly, and fleetingly notice all manner of phenomena, including perceptions, emotions, intentions, cognitions, recollections, and imaginings. From the external to the internal, from the physical to the mental, from the pleasurable to the painful, from the interesting to the boring, from the glorious to the grotesque. Every time we exhale, we can silently and mentally recite the one-syllable verb ease. For every time we exhale, or I should say, that we might better cooperate with our parasympathetic nervous system, which helps us to physically relax and mentally release to such a degree that which we noticed during our previous inhalation could begin to feel, at least fleetingly feel, as non-graspable as a vast empty void, like the illusion of the infinite azure sky on a bright and beautiful cloudless morn, which, although could be tantalizing to the eye, is non-graspable to the hand. All right. So this is an important way of conveying an idea. Imagine, if you will, a great hulking ox, so large, in fact, it dwarfs a bull. Perched upon his tuchus is a wizened man, frail and thin. Consider, if you will, the head of the bull. His mouth has no bit. His head wears no bridle. There are no not stirrups. Is it stirrups? Is it stirrups that connect the bridle to the rider? Reins, thank you. There are no reins from the bridle to the hand of the old man. You might ask the question, if the man has no reins and the ox has no bridle or bit, how does the old man direct the ox? And here's the answer. He doesn't. He doesn't even try to. He's going along for the ride, knowing that to try to control something as large as an ox is folly. And that is a wonderful metaphor for going with the flow. We cannot control the universe or galaxies or stars or planets or continents or countries or politicians or people. We cannot control our body, our relationships. We cannot even successfully or sustainably control our perceptions, emotions, intentions, thoughts, memories, or imaginings. All we can do is go along for the ride, noticing and relaxing in harmony with our inhalations and our exhalations. You have taken your first step into a much larger world. If you feel that I have earned it, you could give this live stream a thumbs up. You could even help support this channel. In approximately 11 hours, I would very much like to return to tomorrow's morning meditation class, as well as group practice. And if you are as geeky as me, may the Force be with you always.